We investigate the facts, then we compare the facts to the contract. So one thing I've learned after reading thousands of insurance policies, that words really matter in the insurance policy. The insurance company knows that, the attorneys know that, the judges know that, and public adjusters know that. And that's why we pay attention to the exact words that are being used in the insurance policy. Because if it says direct physical loss, we want to know that, we want to be sure of that. And that's important. And if the policy says wear and tear is excluded, we want to be sure that's exactly what it says. And if the policy says reasonable emergency measures are covered, we want to know that. That's important because those are contractual terms. But if somebody says that's not warranted, which is one of my favorites, that's not a contractual term. That's a conclusion. And conclusions should always be backed up by policy language and evidence. If the insurance company reaches a decision, they should explain it, not with vague phrases like it's not warranted or industry jargon, all those things, or with these catchphrases. Here's the policy provision, here's what we relied on. And this is how we applied the policy to the facts. That's what I believe, or how I believe insurance should work. The facts need to apply to the policy language. Here at Capital Claims, we don't start with our opinions, we start with the policy language. That's where everything begins and ends with the policy. We investigate the facts, then we compare the facts to the contract. We ask what caused the damage. Is that covered? What is required to get the property back to its pre-loss conditions? What benefit does the policy provide? We ask all these questions. That's a completely different way to look at claims because we're not trying to prove if something is warranted or not warranted. We're trying to determine what the insurance contract requires. So for property owners, homeowners, or you association boards, next time somebody tells you something is not warranted, don't argue, stay calm, and just ask questions that will lead you to the answer. You can ask that question. Ask them what their exclusions are. You can ask questions. You don't have to just take them saying it's not warranted. You can ask questions. Ask them, what evidence did you review? How did you come to that conclusion? Those are fair questions. In fact, those are the right questions. Doing this as long as we've been doing it, I heard carriers say it's not warranted. I've heard carriers say it's not justified. I've heard carriers say it's not reasonable. I've heard carriers say it's unnecessary. Those words or phrases sound very authoritative, but those are not contractual language in the insurance policy. And those words will never substitute the words in the insurance policy. At the end of the day, claims should not be decided by people's opinions, or claims should not be decided by buzzwords that people put together through the course of the years. They should be decided by facts, the language in the insurance policy. Ever notice how insurance companies like to use the word it's not warranted? Roof replacement is not warranted. Additional repairs are not warranted. Additional payments is not warranted. Where in the insurance policy does it say that? After reading tons and tons of policies, we've never come across anything in the policy where it says it's not warranted. Insurance policies talk about exclusions, they talk about coverage, they talk about limitations, they talk about conditions, but there's nowhere in the insurance policy where we've ever seen it talk about if the adjuster feels something is warranted or not warranted. Guys, ask specific questions. Ask them, what were you relying on? Ask them all these questions. What facts supported your decision? Remember, insurance claims should be decided by the policy, the contract, not catchphrases. At Capital Claims Group, we don't let opinions decide claims. We let the policy decide claims.